through some of the basics about the guitar and reading tab and the strings. So this will be a quick refresher course for us to get up to speed. Okay, let's talk about tab. Alright? Tab is the 6 lines that we see written down here. You'll see it either on the whiteboard or on the PDFs in the additional resources. And the tab is the staff with the 6 lines. The 6 lines are the strings. So what we're going to do with the tab is we're going to write numbers on each one, and the numbers are telling us what fret to press on which string. So the best way to think about tab is, you see I'm holding my guitar, okay? And if I slide my guitar down like this, now I am looking at the strings exactly like I would be looking at the tab on a piece of paper. Okay, if I was holding an imaginary piece of paper, I'm looking at the strings exactly the same as I would be looking at the tab on the piece of paper. So my high string is the top line, and my low string, as in my low pitch string, is the bottom line. Okay? And so then what I'll see is numbers. Numbers on each one, and it tells me what fret to push on. Okay? Alright, let's wrap back around to that in a minute. So we've got the 6 lines representing the 6 strings on the guitar. Let's talk about the string names for just a minute. Okay? Going from low, as in low pitch, to high, as in high pitch, we've got E, A, D, G, B, and E again. So we have a high E and a low E. 2 E strings. Okay? High E, low E. Low pitch, high pitch. Low pitch, high pitch. Okay? E, A, D, G, B, E. There's a couple of different sayings that people use to memorize the string names. The one that I like to use is Eddie and Dean go buy eggs. Eddie and Dean go buy eggs. Eddie and Dean go buy eggs. A very popular one, though, is Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie. 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 Okay? So, if I said, play me the A string, okay, so Eddie ate. Okay, play me the B string. Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye, bye. Okay, play me the G string. Eddie ate dynamite, good. Okay, play me the high E string, as in high pitch. Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye, Eddie. Play me the low pitch E string. Eddie again, Eddie. Okay, so those are the string names. It's pretty straightforward, and you have to know them. You want to know them cold. Okay, so have them memorized. Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie. Simple. Moving on to the tab, or the tablature. Okay, and this is what it's going to look like over here. When you're reading tab, you'll see it one of 2 ways. You're going to either see just the tab by itself, 6 lines, a group of 6 lines, and then below it another group of 6 lines, and then below it another group of 6 lines. That's just the tablature staff, okay? The tab or the tablature staff. Sometimes you will see it with 2 staves, okay? Like in a lot of my music that I have on my PDFs, I have 2 staves. I have the traditional standard 5-line staff up top, and then below it I have my 6-line tablature staff. The reason I like to use 2 staves, you don't need to know how to read music for this course, but the reason I like to use it is because in the up above in the standard notation, you'll see the notes, and you'll look at it and you'll say, I don't know how to read those notes. And that's fine. But the notes will also have the rhythm values. You can look at the notes and see how long or short to play each note. And so you can kind of like connect that to the number on the tablature staff below it to see, you know, when you push on this fret, how long do I hold that note for? You can kind of connect it to the note up above it on the standard notation on the treble clef. Okay, so how do we actually play tab? Down here, this is my low pitch E string, okay, so this guy. If I have a 0 on a line, that's telling me to play open, okay, so open is just like this, not pressing anywhere, okay. So the first note is open, then I've got a 4 on the E string, okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, 4. Alright, next string, the A string, I've got a 2 on it, okay, so 1, 2, and I'm just picking the string of the note I want, okay, next string, the D string, 4th fret, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, alright, good, next string, G string, I've got a 2 on it, on the G string, got a 2 which is the 2nd fret. These numbers are never talking about what finger to use, okay? The tablature does not care what finger you use. It does not make a difference in regards to the tablature. These are not fingers, okay? It doesn't go like 1, 2, 3, 4. That's not your fingers. These are only the frets. You could use I could use my nose to play all of these, or use my elbow to play 0, 4, 2, 4. So it's just the frets. That's what the numbers are, okay? We're 2 on the G string. Okay, then we're 3 on the B string, okay, so open, open, 1, 2, 3, good, and then 4 on the high E string, okay, so it's open, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, what does that sound like if we put it all together? We've got open, 4, 2, 4, 2, 3, 4. It's just a little something in E7 that I put together. Now this would be a melody because it's kind of like almost as if you did karaoke, okay? And you have the bouncing ball that goes over the words, and when the ball hits the word, it tells you, you know, sing that part of the word right now. That's kind of what this is. So if we're going like this, then it's a melody. We're hitting the notes one at a time. If you ever see the notes just stacked up right on top of each other, then that is going to be representing a chord, and you're meant to strum those notes all at the same time. So if they're stacked up like this, you know, like 0, 0, 1, 2, 2, we're meant to strum those all at the same time. Make sense? So you're looking for, if they're stacked up, they go together, and if they're not, they're just individual by themselves. We hit them one at a time. Pretty simple, okay? That's how tab or tablature works. So we're going to see this a lot in the PDF pages for all of the chords and the arpeggios and the scales. We're going to be looking at a lot of tabs. Okay. We've got one more thing that we need to cover off on before we can move on. And we have to talk about the chromatic scale. Okay, the chromatic scale. The chromatic scale is, it's more of a music theory lesson, okay? But it's real quick. It's the musical alphabet. So no matter what instrument you play, every musician uses the chromatic scale. It's all the notes that exist in music. All the notes that exist in all music, okay? It's the chromatic scale. And there are 12. There are 12 notes. The way that it goes, it just keeps on going in a circle. Once you have played all the notes, it just repeats itself. And you can keep going higher or lower, but you just start back at the beginning again. It just keeps going around and around and around. So the way it goes is it goes A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Okay? A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And then after G, it just goes back to A again. Like I said, it just goes in a circle. It keeps going. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Now, in between all of these, we've got sharps and flats. Sharps and flats are essentially the same thing. So in this example, I'm just going to show you using the sharp sign. So in the sharp sign is this little number sign or pound sign or hashtag, okay, and it's right next to the note. So here we've got A sharp, A, and then the hashtag means it's sharp. And sharp means it's just one higher, one fret higher, okay? So it's just one fret higher. So for example, if we had our A string, okay? So it's Eddie and, okay, so this is my A string, open, and I play it open, and it's the A string, so it's got to be an A note, okay? A. So if I just go up one fret from there, so the first fret on the A string is A sharp. So this is A, open A string, and I go up one fret, it's A sharp, because it's just one higher than A. Now it's also a B flat. A sharp and B flat are the exact same note. And that's, I know that can be a little confusing, don't worry too much about that. But in between A and B, there's only one note or one fret. Okay? And so it's going to either be called A sharp or it can be called B flat, because flat is where we'll have a little B sign next to it, the note, and it's just telling us that it's one fret lower than. So B flat and A sharp are the exact same note. They exist in the same space. They're on the same fret. So, for example, here's my A, okay? So if I go one higher than it on the A string, first fret, that's A sharp. It's also B flat. So it's B flat also. It's A sharp or B flat. If I go up one fret higher, now it's B. So I'm on a B note now. So this is a B note on the second fret. So if I go back one fret, I can call that a B flat, because it's one lower than B. One fret lower than B. It's a B flat. It would be a B with a lowercase b right next to it. The flat sign is always a lowercase b. Just a coincidence that it happens to be right next to the B in this example. I could do a D flat. So D flat, if I go to my D note, okay, I'm going to go to this D note right here. I have a D note right there. I'm going to go back one fret. That's a D flat. So I would write that like a D, and then I have a lowercase b right next to it. And it would be a D flat. Now D flat is the exact same note as what? C sharp. Because what comes right before D? C. So D flat is going to occupy the exact same fret as the C sharp. Okay? So D flat and C sharp are the exact same note. Alright. The reason that the chromatic scale, which is the musical alphabet, is really important for us to know is of all of the styles and genres of music, blues is very much of a shape-oriented style. So what I mean is we don't have to know how to read music. We don't need to know too much music theory, but what we definitely want to learn are a bunch of different shapes and know when and where to use them. And knowing where to use them is about being able to find our root note, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. And we find our root note by using the chromatic scale. Okay? So you need to be able to find notes on your strings. This is how you practice the chromatic scale. We already know how to read tab. We know the names of the strings. So Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye, Eddie. So what you do is you randomly pick a string. Okay, let's do the A string, because we were doing the A string. Eddie and. Okay, now let's count up, all the way up, using the chromatic scale. Whatever the string name is, start by counting it as open. You're not pressing anywhere. So it's A, open. Remember to start from open. A sharp, first fret. B, second fret. C, third fret. Now, one more thing about the chromatic scale is that it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, everything has a sharp between it. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Everything has a sharp between it. There is an exception to the rule, and I underlined it here. There is nothing between B and C, and there's nothing between E and F. What I mean is there's no B sharp, and there's no C flat. We don't have anything in between B and C, and there's no E sharp either, and there's no F flat. There's nothing between E and F. We go right from E to F, and we go right from B to C. Okay? That's the only exception to the rule. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, everything has a sharp or flat in between it, except there's nothing between B and C, and there's nothing between E and F. And I've got a million of these little sayings to memorize. One that I remember from school is birds cry, eagles fly. Birds cry, eagles fly. Nothing between B and C, nothing between E and F. Okay, so starting over again on the A string. A sharp, B, C, B to C, C sharp, which is the same as D flat, D, D sharp, which is the same as E flat, E, F, we went right from E to F, F sharp, which is the same as G flat, G, G sharp, which is the same as A flat, A. I just went around the world. I went from G sharp, and my next note, I did A. So I was here on the double dot, the 12th fret. The double dot is the 12th fret, and that's where the open string repeats itself. So this is A again. And it just continues on. I can keep going higher from the 12th fret. This is A sharp, B, C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E. It just keeps on going. Okay, now I'm going to show you one more string to work on the chromatic scale. What if we did the D string, okay? A dynamite, dynamite, dynamite. Okay, so it's a D string, so it's a D note. So open D, now first fret, D sharp. Remember, whatever the string name is, we're going to start counting from that string name, okay? So D, open, D sharp, which is the same as E flat. Good. E, F, we go right from E to F. F sharp, G, G sharp, A, just went around the world. A sharp, B, C, we go right from B to C. C sharp, D, and I landed on my double dot, the 12th fret. So I can keep on counting if I want to. D sharp, E, F, we go right from E to F, F sharp, and so on. So this is a great thing to practice. I would recommend that you go through your strings, do this once a day, go through your strings and just count up at least all the way to the 12th fret. You'll know you did it right, because when you get to your 12th fret, which is usually your double dot, you've got 2 fret markers on it, when you get to it, if you think it's the same note as the name of the open string that you're on, then you did it right. So if I'm doing my E string, and I get here the double dot, and I think it's E, then I did it right. But if I get here the double dot, and I think it's F, or D sharp, I got one off somewhere along the way. So when you get to the double dot, you should be thinking it's the same note name as the string name. Okay, I think that about covers it. So we've got the string names, we've got reading tab, and the chromatic scale. So we'll be moving on in our next video.